We have next with us Lyle Dadian, who's with Classlink, is going to share all their new analytics and everything new that they're doing. So hi, Lyle.
Hi, LeiLani. How are you?
That's Ivy. I don't know if you work with Ivy, but she was awesome. She just spoke with us for half an hour, and we love her.
I did. I sat in and listened to it. It was interesting, especially the vetting of the, all of it was interesting, but I noted the vetting of the apps and things like that because we run into that as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, she seemed very relaxed, but she's a busy lady, man. I'm just telling you right now for everything she said she's doing. So thanks again, Ivy. Okay, so turning it over to you. I'm going to turn my camera off, and then I'm not sharing, so you can share and take it away.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Well, it's great to be here, folks. My name's Lyle Dadian. I'm with Classlink. I've been with Classlink for going on 4 years. I've been in educational technology for about 20. I'm in the Midwest. I'm based in Milwaukee, and I handle this region of the country for the company. And prior to that, prior to my technology part, I was a high school history teacher. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And it's great to be here. Thank you, by the way, on behalf of the company. It's been a trying time this past year and a half to 2 years. Thanks for everything that you are doing on behalf of the kids of our communities, all our communities around the country. So thank you. On unprecedented times. We hear it from all of our districts that we have as clients. We hear it from districts that are considering Classlink. So thank you. Today, what we're going to talk about is three things that districts have been struggling with before the pandemic and certainly are due to the pandemic. And I think it really has brought to light these three different areas because of the pandemic, much like, unfortunately, Columbine, a number of years ago with safety protocols. Now, due to the pandemic, the digital plan, what type of digital plan do you have in place? Is it solid? Is it robust? And how can it grow? So these are the three things that we'll talk about today. Let's keep this conversational as the last one was. We'll talk about ensuring students have access to a variety of digital resources, easy, as well as the teachers, as well as everybody in the district, including the parents. We'll talk about measuring student engagement with those resources. So that's really become important. Everybody always talks about education. And it's funny that for such a numbers-based business, as if you will, we really don't know what the impact is or the digital usage is. So, what's our impact? Is this tool being used? How effective is it? Are we getting the most bang for our buck? We certainly know our reading scores. We know the math scores. We knew the SAT and College Bound and all these other numbers. We don't really know numbers related to the tools that we're using and how effective they are. If we know these, you're going to be able to analyze that and then redirect your plan, or maybe it solidifies the fact that, hey, what we're doing is working, or maybe it needs to be tweaked a bit. And then thirdly, we'll talk about rostering student data. And this is more if you're a technology person. This is really the creation and automation of those accounts. When new students come in, when new teachers come into the district, how are those accounts created? Are they being created by hand? Do you have a home written script that you're relying on? And if that person leaves the district, you're kind of out of luck because they always handle that. And now you're going to have to figure out a new way to create those accounts. So those are the three areas we'll talk about. Please jump in. I'm going to check in regularly with LeiLani and Doug and see if there are any questions. Ask your questions if they should come up, and we'll do our best to get those addressed today. So we've got
and Lyle, I do see your screen, and I just want to comment that when you get to the rostering part, Learning Council research is showing a complexity going exponential in rostering right now. So it's important you really dig into that part.
Okay, we'll do. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. All right, just a bit about the company. We're an education-only company, 23 years. We're all over the country. We have great references all over the country. We've got 16 million plus users and growing, statewide deployments, and a ton of vendors and single sign-on. So the main question is how do we help students and teachers with that access? And we help students and teachers with that ease of access, that point number one, with a single sign-on. So we'll create a web-based portal, and I'll pull all this stuff up. You'll see it. We create a web-based portal. Your students, your staff, your teachers, your parents sign in, and then much like you see here on the Chromebook, they'll be taken to what we call their Launchpad. And that Launchpad is unique to the person logging in. That Launchpad has all the applications that that person's going to need to be an effective, engaging student or teacher or informed parent. And then from here, they can one-click in on each one of those applications and sign in easily. So it takes the guesswork out of where do I need to go? What do I need to log into? How do I log into it? So that's point number one. Point number two, how do we help leaders? And we help leaders with analytics. So who's using what? We touched on it in my introduction. How often it's being used. We're paying for this many seats. How many of those seats are being used? You can use the analytics to determine where your professional development needs to be, or determine high and low performance, a million different things. And depending on where you sit in the district, business, curriculum, or technology, you're going to look at those same numbers and come to different conclusions from your point of view. And so we'll talk about that as well. So what does Classlink do? We talked about the things on the left. On the right side, in the upper right-hand corner, are the two tools of technology, the automation tools. And if you're a technology person specialist for the district, you're going to be particularly interested in both of these. OneSync, and we won't spend much time on this, is the tool that we have that automatically creates those internal accounts to Google, AD, or Azure. New students, new teachers come in, they're entered into the SIS or the HR database, and then that AD account, that Google account, that Microsoft account gets created automatically, as well as deprovision when somebody transfers out or leaves their position. Rostering, we will discuss, and rostering does kind of the same thing. New students, new teachers come in, and then those external accounts to the Pearsons, to the McGraw-Hills, to those applications and tools that the district is using, it'll create those accounts automatically. We like to say if both of these tools are connected and hooked up, that you're digital from day one. A new student comes in, within one day, that student is going to have all the applications that he or she is going to need to be an effective, engaged student, as well as your parents and teachers, new teachers. And then finally, Parent Portal, we can replicate that same experience for your parents. All right, so here we go. I'll pull up a couple different districts around the Midwest. Know that you can sign into Classlink any one of these ways, including a QR code for little ones. This is great. You can get a whole class of kindergarten teachers kindergarten kids in 30 seconds, and your teachers are crying because those kids are logged in, not because they're not. So let's go to the examples here. I'm going to pull up some examples. Here's our demo website. So just a few things to note here. Note, as I pull the other district websites up, how they're branded. You can brand this to the district mascot, messaging, colors, and then you also select the various ways you want your people to sign in. Maybe you only want your kids, your young kids, your kindergarten kids, to sign in with a quick card. So this is ease of access for your young kids. As long as your device has a connection to the internet and a camera, in this case, you're going to be able to log in and provide instant access to those kids. This is really a popular option as well for your kids that are older who may have dexterity issues and can't key into signing in. So that's what that quick card looks like. I'll log in with Google, but before I do, let's pull up some from around the country. Rockford, Illinois, they allow their people quick card and then their school credentials. Joliet, District 230, that's suburban Chicago. So you get some idea on how they brand it. This is Green Bay, Huntley. This is MSD of Wayne in suburban Indianapolis. And I bring this one up. The CTO there, Pete Just, was the former Cauthen president, the sitting president in 2020. So we like to bring that one up. And that's a great example of the branding as well. So let's jump in. I'll sign in. And here is the example of the ease of access. We're giving this to all the kids, all your students, all your staff, all your parents. And this is an example of two-factor. Now, in this case, my icon is the baseball. I pre-selected that. Each one of these icons is going to shuffle out and change positions anytime I log in. And if I unsuccessfully you can set the number of unsuccessful logins, and then it will lock you out. So in my case, I selected the baseball, and now this is what we're all about. This is it. So I'm signed into Classlink. I'm going to switch profiles. I'm going to go to a teacher. And these are all the applications that I'm going to need as this fictitious teacher in this demo district. So the first thing you'll notice is communication, notification. The district will be able to push out notifications to their various roles, to the teachers. Hey, teachers, 3rd hour fire drill. To your students, kids, no school Friday. To your parents, parent-teacher conferences Thursday night. They read that or they don't read that, but they close it. You're going to get a check mark indicating it was in front of them. Now, these are the core applications that the district wants me to have access to. These are the core things that I need to be using. So here's that example of ease of access. One click in. I've clicked into HMH, and in this case, I'm signed into my own unique account. I could keep going down the row if I wanted to and sign in. So this is what we call the Launchpad. This takes away all that guesswork. Where do I need to go? Well, you sign in. This is where you go. What do I need to sign into? If it's here, you should be signing into it. How do I sign in? You one click in. That's the organization of it. So the individual applications themselves, let's talk about those. So each one of these, you're going to see, in some cases, you'll see the ribbon and key and a lock. The ribbon and key signifies that that application is a password protected site. Your school district is paying a subscription fee and you're signing in securely to that site. The lock indicates that the little angels that they are can't accidentally delete the applications to get away from doing homework. And the teachers can't accidentally delete those or break those connections. If you send it out, if you push that application out with a lock, it's not going to go anywhere. You can also push out, speaking on organization and ease of access, folders. So hopefully this reminds you a lot of the phones that everybody is carrying around today. And that's the experience we were going after. And in this case, folders. You can organize or push out folders from a technology or curriculum aspect. In this case, let's say we want to push out an HR folder to all our employees. Again, taking that guesswork out of where do I need to go? What do I need to log into? How do I log into it? And another example, popular one on the curriculum side for your students and for your staff, library resources. You know, traditionally underutilized products, people don't know you have them. And if they do, they don't know how to log into them. These were purchased for a reason. They were vetted for content. The content's appropriate for the kids. And they were vetted from a security standpoint and from a technology side. If the teachers are using these things, they're not going to put the district at risk because they're using an unvetted product. So this is a great way to kind of rein in, speaking of that topic prior to, and controlling the applications that are being used. And those are just examples. I'm right-clicking right now, and if you wanted to give your people the ability to create their own folders, much like you can on your phone, you could do that. You can lock this down, or you can open it up to the wild, wild west. Most people do something in between, depending on the role. So that's the Launchpad. I'm going to stop for a second. I've been talking quite a bit. Any questions on the Launchpad or how this relates to ease of access or how districts are using this?
Hey, Lyle, Doug here. I don't see any coming in, but I'm definitely watching.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
Yep. The one other point on the vetting. So this is the Launchpad. These are the core products that your district wants your kids to have, your teachers to have based on their role. If you wanted to give the kids the option to add something, if you wanted to give them a supplemental product and you wanted to give them freedom to add something, you could. And what I just did here was I clicked on the plus sign. This is our application library. We have 6,000 plus single sign-ons already built. This is where they live. This looks a bit busy because we have it, fully set up to show. You can simplify this and really clean it up. And in this case, what you could do is you can build your own library. So in this case, it says district approved app. You could name this elementary, middle school, high school, and then drop in all the pre-approved applications for that respective age or grade or subject area. So if you're an elementary kid, you popped into the elementary library, these are all the supplemental things that you could add. And because they're here, if you clicked add, it would go on to my Launchpad. So that's another great way to give kids freedom, give kids the accessibility, but also kind of control what they're using and take inventory on what is being used in the district. If I'm a teacher, for instance, and a lot of districts won't control how teachers use this. I'm a former history teacher. Let's say I wanted to use CNN. I use it for current events. I look it up. I find it. There it is. I just added it to my Launchpad. And from here, I can go to CNN. This is just a glorified bookmark. And how do I know that? You know that because as I hover over it, there's no ribbon and key, and there's no lock. So there's no ribbon and key. This is a glorified bookmark. I'll click on it. It'll take me to CNN. I'll close that out. And because there is no lock on it, I can right click and remove it as well. So that's how teachers will use that. Now, engagement. How do you figure out what the kids are doing? Easily. From a teacher perspective, I need something easy to use. I need something that I can quickly assess the kids, my entire class. If it's not easy and I can't do it quick, I'm probably not going to use it. And you certainly don't want to add something for the teachers to learn because they're dealing with a lot of things. So from a teacher perspective, I'm signed in right now as an instructor. I click on this icon at the bottom. It's called My Classes. And this is from an elementary school perspective. They're teaching across curriculum. As you can see here, there are those subject areas on the left, reading, science, math. They're teaching across the curriculum. I'm going to click into my math products, my math class. And from here, if I wanted to, I could push out an announcement to all my kids in that class. It's another layer of homeschool that people were asking for. And this was designed because of the pandemic. Applications, this is in my math class. These are the applications I use in my math class. And I could one click in. If I wanted to give permission or push an application out to just my math class, I could as a teacher by using this plus sign. Discussion boards, another example of homeschool connection. If you wanted to get a thread going, this is with the entire class. These are all recorded. Now, this is where it starts getting interesting for engagement. My kids are on the left. And if I wanted to take a look at a specific student, I would click on that icon on the right side. We'll get there using a different road, and that is logins. So this is set to this week. I'll set it to last week so we have a full week of activity. Same kids last week in the school year. And the check mark indicates nothing more, nothing less than that student logged in. And at the beginning of the pandemic, people were looking for this, but there was no way for them to determine what was going on. People were using this to take attendance, for lack of a better way. Well, the further along we got into it, districts started asking for more information. We need to know more. What are they doing when they're in? So we came up with this based on their suggestions and input. Same kids, same week. Instead of just a check mark, we call this a heat map. And on this heat map, the darker the color, the more time that student has spent in online, I should say. But the beauty of this is this. I have all my kids in the math class. And as I scroll down, I can quickly see if somebody's really in trouble, right? Like if there's somebody that's not logged, maybe this caught my eye, right? Ariel is only logged in twice. Now, as that teacher, maybe I told Ariel, you're working on a hands-on project, so it doesn't necessarily alarm me that Ariel hasn't signed in all 5 days. Or maybe that's not the case and Ariel should be logging in. So what's the deal? Is Ariel sick? Is there a problem with their device, with their connection, with their hotspot? I'm not quite sure, but I know something's up. And so this will act as kind of a safety net, catch these kids before they fall too far behind. Really kind of a reactive, proactive type of a stance here. So you can quickly triage a class in literally like in 15 seconds. So that is the beauty of engagement from a classroom perspective. We'd have a larger picture from a district perspective, and we'll go to that. And then we're going to get to the rostering. We have 10 minutes here. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into the district analytics, and the district analytics are here. So this is a dashboard. The analytics I showed before was just the classroom. This is big picture for the entire district, and this is real data from a live district, and obviously a pretty big district. So here's your dashboard. You can customize the dashboard to whatever you want. If some things are more important for you to chart, you can drag and drop and design your dashboard based on your needs. But as we scroll down, you'll see some of the valuable information you'll see. And in the past, how would you get this? How do you get this? It's tough to get. A lot of districts don't have something set up, or they do, but they have to go to 10, 15, 20, 30 different places to get the respective data. And by the time you get it, it may not necessarily be real-time data. This is real-time data available in one spot. So this district has been with us for a number of years, and because of that, you get historic and current activity. So April of 2001, you see, and this is exactly what we hope to see. Over the years, the logins go up. And the logins go up usually because the ease of access, that wall has been brought down. The ease of access really is just that easy. Here are the applications that the school district uses. You guys think you have problems? This district has 4,000 apps, 4,157 of them. All 4,000 are ranked here. And so you can reverse that as well. If I wanted to see which ones are the fewest used or the least used, you could reverse that launch there. Now, if you have, you want to find out logins outside of school hours, you can do that. This was really big before the pandemic. Hey, what are they doing when they're with us? We know that. What are they doing outside? Here are logins on the weekend, logins outside of school hours. Schools, if you have a fairly large school district and you want to take a look at your schools by logins, you want to compare schools, you can do that. You want to compare them for whatever reason. Maybe one's high, one's low, and you want to take a look and see what the high is doing right, or maybe what's resulting in the high. Now, it's not scientific, but it's giving you some data to at least dip your toes in and kind of figure out what direction to start your investigation on. Heat map for the schools. And this is neat stories here. Larger districts that have multiple schools, what you're seeing here is all the schools on the left, the week, and then the percentage of unique users for each user in that school. And this is kind of turned into friendly competition. We have districts that use this, like which school can get the highest percentage of unique users logged in, to make sure that the kids are doing what they're doing, right? Or at least kind of drive that way. So that is something that is used to determine engagement as well. And finally, return on investment. I want to make sure I get to this. Or, how effective is that tool being used? So we'll go to the cost. And in this case, you see all those applications the student is using, most utilized, least utilized. And as I scroll down, what are you looking at here? You're seeing how much we paid, how many digital seats we purchased, the average cost, and then really important, how many seats have been used. So in this case, Algebra Nation, I don't know what Algebra Nation is, but they purchased 100,000 seats if it's supplemental or core. Year to date, only 13,000 of those digital seats have been used. So if I'm curriculum and that's our core math program, that's going to alarm me, right? And then you click into that and you can see who's using it and who's not. And based on that, you can determine your action plan. This is where we need to develop our professional development, and this is where we need to focus it on these schools that aren't using it. If it's a supplemental product, do you want to continue purchasing for 100,000 seats when only on average 13 or 14,000 seats are being used? So in that case, you can whittle that usage down, take that money that you're going to save and apply it somewhere else. So that is a great way to kind of help your bottom line, determine engagement at the individual level, at the classroom level, and at the district level. So that's the analytics engagement. Let's go back to the PowerPoint for a second, and I'm going to talk about the rostering that was brought up earlier. And this is the automation tool. And this, again, really helps districts to make sure that kids are getting the applications that they need in a timely fashion. This is an automation tool. It's hosted by Amazon. It's hosted in Amazon in the cloud. And when a new student comes in and is entered into the SIS, or a teacher is entered into the HR database, this syncs nightly, and then it will create those specific accounts with your vendors based on the role. Lyle's a second grade elementary student. Lyle's going to get all the second grade applications based on the data getting pulled out of the SIS. So that is of how we get the applications created and then pushed out to the students. The arrows on the right side also signify the fact that this tool allows you to control the type of data flow that goes to those vendors. If you have a vendor, for instance, the blue one at the top, if that's only being used in elementary school, do you want your K-12 data to flow out to that vendor? Probably not. So you don't need to do that. So that's Roster Server. It is a much more technical tool than that. That in and of itself is an hour-long call, but it gives you a really nice idea of how we automate the process. And this tool is based on the IMS Global Learning Consortium One Roster standard. It's an open data standard that was developed about 6-7 years ago, and that's the standard that this tool develops under, and it really just helps you streamline your rostering. So it really helps you clean it up, makes it much easier for you, and then just as important, if not more, gets those applications to your kids in a timely fashion. So with that, I'm going to pause again and see if there are any questions, any comments. I haven't been able to monitor the chat box here. So Doug, I'm going to lean on you. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm making sure anybody who's on the line right now, ask any questions that you want to ask. One of the things, Lyle, that I had mentioned is the complexity of rostering now. I mean, I have districts reporting, they have full-time employees and that's all they do.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, they're list people, lists and uploads and downloads and checking and cross-checking. And have you heard the same thing?
Yeah, we've heard it a couple different ways. So absolutely. And then we've heard that these tools of automation, because there are people that are dedicated just to that, once they implement a tool like this, they get those people back. So it's like adding a person to their staff, because what they were doing, they no longer need to do. This is automated. And so those people are freed up, and they're freed up to address other issues besides this. This is taken care of. So yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about that. And that's all over the country. That's not just in the Midwest, as well as for this tool too. This creates the internal accounts to Google, AD, or Azure. So this automates that process as well. So both of those tools are going to free people up, free up your hours, so you can apply those hours somewhere else and be doing something else, hopefully productive and helping the kids in the long run become successful, engaged kids. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate that question.
Yeah, awesome. So final comment then on how Classlink is doing nationally. I know you're the only company, I think the only one that is in your space that is 100% dedicated to K-12. What happened with the pandemic and your growth?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. The pandemic, well, I certainly wouldn't wish the pandemic to happen, and I hope it goes away soon. We've had an extremely busy year, last year and a half, 2 years. So, 2 years ago, I think we were at about 10 million. We're at about 1,200 schools. We've just been growing, and we've been growing because it's a need. The nice thing about this is we don't want to talk you into something. We want to solve an issue that you have, and all districts are going to have one of these issues, if not multiple issues. So it's really more of a consulting position, and our current clients get the word out for us. I mean, hopefully I come across as credible, and I work hard to do that. I work hard to stay as knowledgeable as I can. The most valuable is our word of mouth from our clients, and our clients spread that word for us. So that's of course been a great tool for us to fortunately be able to take advantage of. And we're a SaaS company. People don't need to re-up with us year after year after year. We're a subscription-based company, and we have a phenomenal re-up rate, which I think it says a couple things. Number one, the product is good. They're getting value out of it, and they're getting support from us. After the PO comes in, what happens? Are you forgotten about? No. So we want to keep you happy. If you're happy, if your kids are successful, you're happy. If you're happy, you're going to re-up with Classlink, and that's certainly what we want at the end game. So with that being said, I will stop, and I appreciate everybody. I appreciate being here. Thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure to be a sponsor of this great work that you guys are doing there. And hopefully I look forward to seeing everybody in person sometime soon down the road. And have a great rest of the first semester and continued success this school year.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we are planning to be back in some of your areas, I think, Lyle, next year. So hopefully we get to see you. Would love to see that. We have so many new schools and districts that have joined us, especially the EduJedi, huge growing group.
Great.
So yeah, hope to see you next year.